And we're live with Jonathan, who has just done some research to tell us how old is this test that I think is so good.
Well, by research, I mean I googled it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't actually tell me exactly, but it says that it's at least before the 80s. So, yeah, Grigory Reinin, a mathematician, psychologist, and one of the earliest socionists, mathematically proved the existence of these dichotomies, the Jungian dichotomies, and their approximate content was elaborated by Ushra Augusta, or work the theory of Renin traits, published in 1985. There's a tentative introduction to 15 dichotomies, a draft of sorts. The further works have still not been written on the subject. So basically, it's at least as old as the 80s, and there was some research done in early 2000s.
Yes. So, yeah.
That's all I can find on it at the moment.
Okay. I was just having a look at my Jaffa Cake count. It's my third Jaffa Cake of the day. I've always got to keep track on these things.
I should keep.
Yes.
I should keep track of what I eat, but I don't. I just put on this weight.
Yeah, the food diary. Yeah, I'll. Well,
I would make it. I would make a food diary, but I think I'd rebel against it.
I would. I got a diary like A4. You could always get an A4 one.
No, well, my problem is not that I would or wouldn't make a diary. Is that even when I set the rules for myself, I kind of don't like being told what to do, even by me.
Oh no! Oh, I mean, you can write down everything you eat. It's nothing. It's not. You know, you can judge yourself whether.
I judge myself all the time. That's the problem. This is just more judgment.
No, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
Hopefully, stuff doesn't go wrong. And hopefully, I've got the cooler on. Right, so I ask everyone to do this who does a hangout with me. Please ask me if I've got the cooler on. Else, the hangout will end. Involuntarily. Because of an overheating situation. So, here's something more interesting to look at. This is the sociotype graph.
Okay.
Now, so this site, 2011 to 2014. But yeah, people are really into this. If they go on wikisocion.org, there's something about the Reinin traits were investigated in 2003.
Yeah.
And the results were inconclusive. It's one of these things where what the mathematics prove is that it's internally consistent in that if you have certain traits, it entails these other traits. But it doesn't. But the mathematical consistency doesn't actually cast any judgment on how well exactly are the dichotomies defined.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you could have something like, if you have A and B, you can have C. Well, you still got to define C right.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? You know, so and that's the main thing. So, for instance, in these questions, and we'll go on the. Now, what we do here is one of the reasons I like this test is that you pick the four choice. You only pick. There's 15 dichotomies, I think, and you pick the 4 that you are absolutely sure of, or least unsure about. And then, so what we're going to do in this, as people can see, so Jonathan is an INFJ, and we're going to see how good the test is.
Yes.
We're going to be discussing each dichotomy to see how useful it is. because the reigning traits, my opinion, is that some dichotomies are more useful than others. Right, so we now go. Oh yes, and what will happen is, as soon as one of these is picked, let's say introvert is picked, it kills all the extroverts. They've all been grayed out. And these are arranged in quadras. So, for instance, this is the alpha quadra. So you've got ENTP there, ESFJ, ISFJ. I'm using the MBTI codes, folks. INTP. Then you've got the beta quadra here, ENFJ, ESTP, ISTP, INFJ. Right, and then this is the gamma, and then this is the delta.
I do not agree with some of these examples.
Oh, you mean the names? Like, oh, right, I've got a question for you. Which type do you think Don Quixote is?
Well, I haven't read the book. From what I know the story, I actually wonder if it's ENFP or something.
That's a good point. That is now David Kersey Sr. classified him as INFP. Because I mean, if we were to use the phrase quixotic, if we are to assume that quixotic, that quixotic actually embodies the character of Don Quixote, quixotic, and if we were to say which type is the most quixotic type, what would your answer be, Jonathan?
My answer, firstly, I would look up the word quixotic or chaotic.
Go on then. Yep, that's fine. Quixotic.
Quixotic. Foolishly impractical, especially in pursuit of ideas, especially marked by rash, lofty, romantic ideals or extravagantly chivalrous action. Yeah, definitely NFP. Capricious, unpredictable. Especially better. Yeah. Very NF. I say NFP, but I'll say NF really.
But sort of best fit type INFP.
Maybe ENFP sometimes.
Yeah. So quixotic is a good word.
Yeah.
For you know. Right.
Windmill Crusades.
Right.
See, now, I see Sherlock Holmes there as an ESTJ, isn't he? Oh, I did not agree with that at all.
Which type do you think Sherlock Holmes is then?
I really do think he's an INTP. I think. Okay, firstly, this is probably the reason Hannah thinks Richard Dawkins is an ESTJ, is because he's so evidence-focused. But the reason he's evidence-focused is because he's a detective.
Exactly.
Yeah, the character in those books is definitely an introvert, and he's almost always an introvert every time I've seen him in any fictional adaptation. And he's very much a guy who's developed his own method of logic for solving crimes. It's a recurring thing in the book where he just doesn't not like the way the police do it, and his method's better. So,
did you ever watch the Basil Rathbone films?
No, I did not. I think I may have seen clips of them. I've seen other adaptations though.
Oh, Basil Rathbone. I used to watch them as a child. Black and white films.
Yeah. I've seen. Oh, what was Jeremy Brett? He was the best Sherlock Holmes. He was perfectly cast in the ITV series. I've seen that. I've seen the American one with Johnny Lee Miller. I've seen the BBC one. I've seen the movies with Robert Downey Jr. Read the books, and of course, I love the Disney version Basil of Baker Street. That was amazing. The whole mouse. But yeah, he's not an ESTJ. I've seen a couple of these videos, and that bugs me every single time. Sherlock Holmes lists as an ESTJ.
What do you think about Robespierre being an INTP?
Robespierre? I'm not sure. I've seen. It's a guy I've wanted to read about for some time.
Victor thinks no way.
Yeah,
it would. I mean, this is probably why he's got his own names for.
It would not be my first choice. I would say that. He could be an INFP, actually.
Now, the one I agree with, I mean, Georgy Zhukov, you got to have some balls to stand up to Stalin.
Yeah.
When, you know, he had a proclivity to purge people. And I don't know.
I think he purged Zhukov. I think he purged Zhukov by throwing him in prison or something, but had to bring him back because of the invasion of Germany. So it wasn't. And then it was purged later on anyway. So.
That's right, and they didn't want him. He didn't want him to get too much credit.
Yeah, or anyone to get too much
credit. And
he
rode a white horse, Zhukov.
Yeah, Stalin was going to ride it, and he couldn't. Then he told Zhukov to go on, and Zhukov did fine. That kind of annoyed Stalin a bit. One of those stories.
Right.
Stalin was just a bad horse rider, and he took it personally.
Now, people need to know is that Stalin is not his real name.
His real name is Josef Vissarionovich Dugashvili.
You see, history graduate here.
Yes.
Yeah. Not just a history major, a history pure. Because in England, folks, we just do
Scotland.
Pure subject. So, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Scotland.
Scotland. Yeah. He's got other names as well. He had Koba and Soso and a few others. I need to get that phone. Just give me a second, sorry.
That's perfectly fine. Right. So, folks, let's I'll discuss see who we are, where we're going now. So Don Quixote, oh, here we go. Oh, something's popping up. Something's popping up. It was just on the chat on the Google Plus. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. I think someone might be around. Right, okay. Right. So, I'll just... Anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about these. Right, so Don Quixote is the unique DP. Even though Don Quixote was probably... Maybe the idea is that the ENTP Don Quixote was so... I don't know what the story is. I mean, is he actually is this tilting at wind bows? That he's so FI polar that he is quixotic? Yeah, that's so unlike an ENTP to be quixotic. In fact, an ENTP is the #1 type to actually mock someone who is quixotic.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that the ENTP is the #1 type to actually mock someone who is quixotic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like someone with these strong principles, because they would say, "Oh, well, what would you do in this case?" And that.
Well, it's not just strong principles; it's also impractical ones. And I mean,
yeah, I think the ENTP.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't actually I haven't read the book, but from what I know, it's not just. It's not just his strong ideals, he had delusions of heroism. He was delusional and he was, making up things and then making up problems and then solving them, pretending he was a hero. That
is ENTP.
Or actually thinking he's a hero.
Because Douglas Adams, I love Douglas Adams, but he did perpetuate some myths about himself, like completing novels really quickly. And then at the same time writing about how much long it took to write them and perfect them.
Yeah. Well, I think with Quixote, it was things like he saw windmills in the distance and he said they were giants, and he would go and attack them, and say defeated giants. And it was, like I said, I haven't read the book. I think it's meant to be unclear if he really believes they're giants and he's delusional as hell, or if he's just making it up by convincing everyone else that he's defeated giants.
Actually, I've just thought of something that has actually rumbled Douglas Adams. Because I know I've just thought of this now, because there was one instance where he was really up against it and there was a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, in the second series, the second radio series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Yeah.
they in order to get on the front cover of the Radio Times, instead of broadcasting it like over 6 weeks, they were going to do it over like 6 days.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly that meant Douglas Adams had to write stuff a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't very good. It was read like a first draft. So basically, that was an instance of that is a true instance of what Douglas Adams is like when he has to write really quick.
Yeah.
Right. So and then all these other instances of he wrote it really quickly. No, he didn't. He just did that to make people go, "Oh, isn't it good for something that was written really quickly?"
The thing is, a lot of my stuff is written at the last minute, and that actually turns out to be quite good. So it could be that he wasn't. Actually, when I try and write stuff in advance, that doesn't turn out very well. It has to be done at the last minute, which is incredibly stressful.
Well, are you talking about stories?
Well, more assignments in school and my dissertation for history. So, have you ever tried writing a 10,000 word dissertation with only a few days to spare? It was awful. That was I know about it for months.
No, I got a 2-1 at applied biology, but my dissertation got U for ungraded. U for ungraded.
Oh.
Because I basically copied the book out, because I didn't know how to analyze, because I was meant to analyze people's diets.
Yeah.
If I would have, they could have given me a little help. They could have said, "Ben, go to the supermarket and look at the ingredients on the boxes."
Yeah.
But no, I just didn't know how to analyze. And then also people were taking the mickey, and it looked like they were having like 2 or 3 dinners a day when they filled in the questionnaire. So anyway, we got to talk about it. So Don Quixote is ENTP. Anyway, we'll be able to work it out. We'll be able to work it out anyway, based on a process of elimination. See if you can work out the types. Right. So Jonathan.
Yes.
Introvert or extrovert?
Oh, that's easy. Uses imagination and reflection rather than manipulates real objects. Focuses on relations between self and the outer world. Manipulates real objects, feelings, emotions, and sensations rather than delves into imagination. Goes in the outer world and relations between objects. I think that's very clearly an introvert.
Now the thing is, I'd just like to point out to people, notice the overlap between introversion and intuition, and extroversion and sensing.
But also introvert says more FI and extrovert more FE as well. Manipulates emotions and sensations, things like that. So it's almost like every extroverted thing, every extroverted function, period. It says manipulates real objects and feelings, because introvert says focuses on relations between self and the outer world, but extrovert is manipulating emotions, and that's more extroverted feeling.
Now, this is what I like, is this sort of like meta discussion of the actual dichotomies and the way it's worded, because because ultimately that is the real purpose of this video, is to actually think about the dichotomies.
Okay, doing my job then.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, but overall introvert.
So what do you actually think of that? The way it's written, would you agree with that?
It could be better. I would definitely could be better. It's not
totally
wrong,
but what do you think it should be?
I like the way Young says it, just about energy and getting your energy from being alone or from being out there, or stimulation or something. It's not.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not imagination. Plenty of introverts do not live in their head the way I do. So, yeah, this is actually more intuition and sensing, I think.
Well, I mean, it's sort of inner directed or outer directed.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So let's go for introvert. And you 100% sure you're an introvert?
I am a super introvert. I am the most introverted introvert that ever introverted.
Right. So now, although you are on YouTube, in front,
yes,
in front of tens of viewers, ultimately.
Yes, but I'm alone in my house on YouTube. YouTubers are all owners. Let's face it. Everyone on YouTube is someone who could be out there doing stuff, living their life, but no, they're in front of a camera.
Yep.
In their own home. Obviously not everyone's an introvert, but there's probably quite a lot of introverts on YouTube.
Yeah. I just that kind of introvert, I just say they're choosy about who they interact with. Right. So, okay, logical, ethical.
Better perceives real objects and their relations, general principles and trends, sees the world through the prism of logical connections. Better perceives feelings, emotions, and consents built into personal relationships. Ethical. Yeah, more ethical. Better perceive real objects and their relations. Oh, ethical is better, but still a slight. I would say I'm quite good at seeing trends and general principles and relations.
Yes, that's the thing about INFJ, is the lead function. It almost counts as a thinking function.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's like you've got the TI-NI loop.
Yeah.
Going on. It's sort of like so it's almost like the NI magnifies the TI.
Yes.
And NI is sort of like unconscious TI anyway,
where
you get the answer.
Yeah, then you have to work out the question.
Sort of work out backwards.
Mm-hmm. So it does sound more INTJ, but it sounds quite INTJ overall. The way it trends, but
so we can leave that one for now because you've only got to make 4.
Yeah.
And I want you to pick. No, this one might be
ethical. Yeah. Okay.
Computing center.
Better perceives non-material side of the world, ideas, concepts, and the like. It quickly absorbs new information. Because of poor digestion, doesn't keep it in memory for too long. Better perceives material side of the world, tastes, colour, and the like. Slowly absorbs new information. It's the good digestion, keeps it in memory for a long time. Well, in some ways, I have a crap memory, but there are some things I do remember. So it really depends on how important I think it is, or so absorbing everything.
I mean, that's exactly the same. You put there ideas, concepts, and the like. Well, effectively, you could just go straight to Kersey and go abstract versus concrete.
As far as it's kind of an awkward one.
You see, I think people need to look out though. When they're judging like someone's speech, like abstract, concrete, your SJs can learn. They learn the language of the field that they're in, so they will speak the jargon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an SJ scientist, they're going to sound quite abstract.
Mm-hmm.
So, but their approach, careful observation, you will see the difference between abstract and concrete.
Yeah, and see, I would kind of blur the line between ideas and concepts and taste, colour, things like that when I'm thinking of, I don't know, art or something, or a good story and all of that. I'll notice these things. It's more a question of what interests me rather than one of the others. So that's
we'll leave that then because we want to pick the four that you're super duper sure of.
Yeah.
And then we've got...
I'm less sure of that than the previous one, actually. So.
Static dynamic.
Perceives reality as unrelated stills. Notices the state of an object or process at a given moment, but overlooks changes and trends in them. Yeah. Perceives reality as a series of interrelated events, notices trends and changes in an object or process, but also the state at a given moment. I would lean more toward the dynamic. Yeah, I would say dynamic. I'm more thinking ahead most of the time.
Now that question, static dynamic, try giving that question to a sensing type.
There isn't any here, but okay.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to understand that question. They're even a bit abstract for me. Because there's so many... Because there's so many assumptions built into that.
Yeah.
Static dynamic. Like, I mean, I agree with static and dynamic for the judging functions. So, for instance, with extroverted thinking, as the data changes, the extroverted thinking type changes with the data. The TI type is more static in terms of like, this is a principle that I'm sticking with. FI is the same. This is a principle that I'm sticking with. FE is dynamic because it's the emotions of other people. FI is more static, the more with their own emotions. But when it gets to the perceiving functions, you then have a situation where you're saying that SE and NE are static.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I think they sort of go like this. Well, NI is dynamic, therefore SE must be static. You know, you sort of get yourself in a false dichotomy of... Because if you actually look at behavior, SE DOMs and NE DOMs, they're not static.
Yeah.
They want to vary things.
Not sure any would relate to either of these, really, as far as...
Pardon?
I'm not sure how well any would relate to dynamic the way it's described either. It's not the best description of it. Like, it's not really thinking about trends at all. It's more about possibilities and what can
that's what I mean. NE is classified as static.
Oh, no,
that's what I mean.
That makes less sense.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
But even that's crazy because, I mean, if you're talking about, that's what people say about. It's like Olga. She said when she interviewed Igor Weisband, who's an ENTP. He said, "I cannot. You keep changing the subject. It is too much for me."
Oh, I feel her pain sometimes.
I think that's on Malcolm Goldie's channel. If you want to see the interview with Igor Weisband, Olga is FISE, ISFP Dreiser, and so yeah, I mean, static dynamic is a bit like, now I can see it with, if you just say SI is internal bodily harmony and homeostasis, well, except that, you know, it's supposed to, you know, yes, people do change on their insides, their internal feelings and stuff, but this is all highly abstracted from, this is a piece of information and it is an information aspect and it's either static or dynamic. Well, that's just an abstraction, and you've got to, so I don't like that kind of using deduction from that point. Whereas if you use deduction from the point of, I can give a similar principle. All human beings act. normal human beings, every action is purposeful action. That's why we can understand other people's behavior, because there's a purpose to it. When we watch a film, we can work out what the motivations are. Right? If something is written badly, we'll notice when people are acting strangely. We notice when people act out of character. Like,
well, me personally, I actually try and make up explanations for it. I'm actually a little perplexed some days when people don't understand characters because I've come up with an explanation in my head for why they're doing that. It does depend. If it's really bad, I'll notice.
I think what you do is you like fill in plot holes. You use your imagination to fill in plot holes in writing.
Yes.
But in like real life, people act
really bizarrely. Yes.
Well, no, but even then, like when you learn about temperament, it's like within temperament, it's they always have a reason for doing something, even if it felt fun at the time, or I felt like doing it. There's still a reason.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, people, because I'm really into criticism and media criticism and film criticism and stuff, I notice that a lot of the time people will complain about things that are explainable by that if they don't like. They'll say there's no reason when there is a reason, it's just not a very good one, or it's not a very satisfying one at times. So,
yeah, or it relies on the person being dumb.
Yeah, so that is my general idea is that if you're writing a story, you're kind of your reader or your audience is actually your enemy in a way, because you're really going up against their biases and their assumptions about how the world works and how characters should be. And it's probably going to be different from how people they actually know act. But when they're entering a film or a book or whatever, they've got expectations that they're going to butt up against, no matter how well written it is or how poor written it is. And that will explain it.
When you see, I mean, you've watched Game of Thrones.
No, I read the books.
But generally people act in motivated ways.
Yes.
And there's not that many plot holes in terms of...
Well, there's the thing, a lot of the time plot holes arise in stories more because things are not explained or something. Like, a lot of the stuff that happens in Game of Thrones would seem like a plot hole if certain things were not shown or if certain characters' point of view were not explained. So there's that thing to consider as well. That's the thing. Plot holes are often just unexplained events.
I can give an example. 7 of 9 in Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
It's never addressed why she wears eyeshadow and wears heels. And the reason is the actress Jerry Ryan wanted to wear heels, and then she's going on. And I remember talking to a neighbour who was like a college lecturer, and he came up with a brilliant excuse to like cover the hole, and that is all they had to show is that 7 of 9, her mother dressed like that. And then if they showed like a flashback of that, then okay, that makes sense.
Are you sure it's Jerry Ryan that made the decision and not the studio?
I think it was Jerry Ryan.
Yeah.
Because she was like, she said the line, "Believe me, honey, if you're a woman, if you're wearing a skin-tight catsuit, you don't want to be padding around in flats."
All right, that's something I want to look up later, because I know that other actresses in Star Trek did not get that choice. Like Maria Sirtis, she in the first couple of seasons of Next Generation, she had to wear the dress, and she hated it. And later on,
why?
She didn't like. It wasn't really her choice. She felt kind of out of place. No, it was also the skin tight suit with her. There's a story where a new captain takes over the ship and says, "Put on a uniform," and the character's really upset, but her actress was really going, "Yeah, finally I get a uniform. I'm supposed to be like everyone else, proper officer, respected."
Oh, right, I see.
Also, it may just have been uncomfortable or something, who knows.
I used to wonder, there's a little digression first. I used to wonder why was Star Trek The Next Generation more popular than the other Star Treks that came after it? And the reason is, when you watch now, and this is directed at people over 30, The acting was better in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Plain and simple.
Sometimes, yeah. I would say it's actually because it was more fresh at the time than. I mean, by the time DS9 and Voyager came out, then we kind of got used to Star Trek.
Yeah, but the acting in Deep Space Nine.
Well, the acting, yeah, but also
not good.
But the acting in Deep Space Nine was incredible. You're just wrong.
You should see the first episode.
Deep Space. Even the first episodes wasn't bad. Deep Space Nine, main thing that turned people off it was the format was totally different from what they were used to. With Voyager, you also had the problem with the writing. The writing in Voyager is notoriously bad and crazy, and the characterizations. But okay.
Yeah. Now, for instance, here's an example of how bad the writing was. The character of Neelix.
Yeah.
If I were in charge, I would say, right, I can make this like one of the most popular characters. Write it like Del Boy in Only Fools and Horses. Right? That character should be a very good... And talking about... Star Trek eventually got good when he got to season 4 of Enterprise.
Yes.
When you had Manny Koto in charge and did those 3-part stories.
Mm-hmm.
Really going into the backstory, like fantastic when you go into the backstory of the Vulcans, and then when they did the Klingons to explain the retconning,
yeah,
to explain why the ones in the 60s didn't have the hands because the cranial rich. Oh, we don't want to get too distracted, right? So. Static dynamic is a bit on the perceiving function. Well, what are your thoughts on static dynamic?
Well, as I said, I'm not very satisfied with them. It's not. Let's just move on. We've been on this too long.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So now we've got positive, negative.
Okay. Sees what's present rather than what's absent. First of all, notices the positives. Whether it's good, the sky is clear. Negative. Sees what's absent rather than what's present. First of all, notice the negatives. The weather is not bad. It's not a cloud in the sky. Oh god, that is bad descriptions. A lot of that is just depending on your mood and it's really.
But the maths proves it. You can't argue with the maths. That's what the NTs would say.
Well, I'm not an NT. Screw the math.
I'm only half an NT because I'm an Enneagram 4.
Yeah, that's just. Even sees what's absent rather than what's present. We're still not using the. Oh, that's really splitting hairs. Those examples of the weather as well. That's just. What's present might not be good. What's present could be bad.
And also, this is a dichotomy which is used in Model G.
Yeah.
And. So, for instance, in Hangout number 7, you've got FE minus for the ENFJ. It makes FE minus look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when FE minus is in the ENFJ in a top function, the ENFJ is able to use both sides of it. So this is why the ENFJ isn't totally negative emotions all the while. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you see the FE minus in INTJ, then it's absolutely the case that most of the emotions that an INTJ shows are negative. But
harsh,
but that
I have noticed they're more negative than me and the others, but still a bit harsh as far as that goes.
So Maria was saying that the more a function is higher up in someone's stack, the more powerful it is, the more you can use both sides of it. The positive and negative sides.
Yeah. Either way, I'm not choosing one. I'm not choosing one of them either.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Asking, declaring.
Typically speaks in questions, prefers dialogues to monologues. Tends to use short remarks because he or she is more interested in hearing the other person than self-expression. His statements prefers monologues to dialogues. Tends to make detailed speeches because he or she is more interested in self-expression than hearing the other person. I'm prone to both. Let's be honest. And as for some I'm not more. I don't think I'm more into self-expression than hearing another person. Just can't put it into words, but those two do not sit right with me.
I think that also declares. That also depends on someone's general level of confidence. Then they'll be more declaring, or maybe not. Maybe someone's really confident. Then they'll feel the need not to be declarative and to listen to the other person.
I know it depends on the person and the situation as well. So it's not. Yeah. I can be both whenever, depending on who I'm talking to, the way my mood, depending on things like. Yeah, and
so, for instance, you could have a young confident man, but with something to prove, might be more declaring than, say, a young man who's already achieved something, doesn't feel the need to prove as much. So that's a little bit. So what about tactical and strategic?
Tends to make all decisions based on the current state of things. Cares more about the path, which is the order of steps and actions. Finds it easier to change the goal than chosen tactics. Tends to make goal decisions based on the prominent future. Cares more about the goal and the desired state of things. Finds it easier to set a goal and to decide on the next step. Leaning more towards strategic there. But
how strong a
not incredibly strong, but stronger overall. Like I would not say I would ignore the current state of things, or I wouldn't change things, but more. I would say I'm more strategic overall. Like I'll ignore things that don't seem important that bother other people. For example.
Now, is it strong enough that you want me to pull the trigger on that one?
I'll look at the other ones first.
Okay, here we go. Constructive, emotive.
First perceives the meaning, then the emotional implication. It's not typical of him or her to adjust to another person. First perceives the emotional implication, then the meaning. It's typical of. First perceives the meaning, then the emotional implication. Okay, first perceives the meaning, then the emotional obligation, yes. It's not typical of him or her to adjust to the other person's mood, no. So I agree with the first part, but not the second part. And, well, really, I would say more emotive, but I think I see the emotional implication and the meaning at the same time. It's like, I'm not sure I ever noticed what would see first or not, and I definitely adjust to the other person's mood though. I would say that's constructive though than emotive, but word choice, semantics. Say I think you can click on emotive actually. I feel confident enough that you can click on emotive.
Pardon?
I feel confident that you could click on emotive. Like,
confident. You want me to click on emotive?
Yes. I wouldn't.
Okay, here we go.
I'm actually, the semantics annoy me because I would say I'm constructive, but yeah.
And you're really confident in this one?
Yes.
Okay, right. I only need two more to. Let's see how many dichotomies we've got left. We've still got quite a few left to go, so. What about this? Rational and irrational.
Person assesses incoming information and comes up with a response or applies existing plan to the situation using an audience. Takes on the incoming directly without assessing it or relating it to his or her experience. I do both. So. Not.
I like this one.
Process versus result oriented. Focuses on a process, finds it hard to tune out of it or tune back in. It's typical of him or her to do the work from the beginning to the end without switching to something else. Result or can multitask. It's typical of him or her to divide the work into smaller portions and monitor reaching the milestones. I'm definitely more process oriented.
Interesting. Do you want me to click on process?
Well, I'll see the other ones, but
Right.
I get there's a good chance we'll come back and click on it, but
okay. Right, yielding and obstinate. And now also by multitask,
yeah.
I assume that means switching between tasks rather than literally doing something at the same time. Because usually to me, multitask means doing things at the same time rather than switching.
Yeah, but I'll move on to yielding on that. Okay. Yielding. It's easy to change his or her mind, get a head start. Give a head start to partners, consider counter offers and compromise. It's hard to get a change my his or her mind. Strong arguments are needed. Will use any measures and sources to achieve the goal. Isn't usually keen on compromising. Well, I'm fully ready to compromise, but at the same time, it's not easy to change my mind. It's really more a question of I'm thinking ahead. Sometimes I'm quite stubborn, but I can think ahead, and eventually I might be convinced just by saying this isn't worth it or anything. Not necessarily to change my mind. So it's more of a wait and see thing. So, what do you think of those two?
Yielding and obstinate.
He's like FE versus TE from the kind of things, but or even EFJ versus ETJ specifically.
Yeah, you see that one right there. We'll use any measures and sources to achieve the goal. Yeah, any measures and sources to achieve a goal. I think that's badly worded because that gives the impression that someone could do anything.
Yeah, like
legal, illegal, moral, immoral.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those more situational things. Like, depends on their mood and so on. So, okay, Carefree and Farsight, I think. Carefree believes that one can't foresee everything. Once in a new situation, only use information that is currently central, overlooking the previous experience. Farsight tries to foresee everything. Once in a new situation, prefers to use the previous experience, even if it's not relevant to the current situation. I do try and foresee everything, or I don't even try, I usually just do sometimes, but I don't know if I would say even if it's not relevant. How would you describe not? How do you know it's not relevant? No. I mean, you'd be surprised what is relevant in terms of experience.
So that's the thing. Is people will find there are going to be things that are relevant in a new situation, in any situation, because it's a situation on Earth, and the situations have been designed by human beings, and who think similarly to us because we're human beings. It's not like we've suddenly been put on an alien planet.
Yeah.
Usually, there's some kind of sense. There's usually something that's similar to.
I'm waiting to watch Farsight, but
Plus, everyone does that. That's how the human mind works. We try to refer to previous experience, which is why people can be bigoted and in stereotypes, because we use stereotypes all the while. That's why we understand the world.
Yeah.
Things over time get more nuanced.
Yeah. So
it's just like, so for instance, you can see all the different types of INFJs.
Yes. Oh, and I do agree to that. I think you mentioned you were thinking of doing a hangout with INFJs of different area types.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yes, I would like to be in that.
Yes, I think you're in the. Let's see if you're in the folder. I'm just having a look at the Hangouts folder. Just let's see what we got here. We got. Right. Yes, I will write your name down. Jonathan something.
Jonathan something. I was in a hangout. I was in a hangout about that with Crystal something.
Oh yes, very good.
Yes, it was me, her, and Type 9 named Iris.
Right, so you could actually help me to put it together because I've got Crystal as a Type 2.
Yes.
And Maria as a Type 5. Right, so we could try and get all the Enia types in there.
Well, that's what Crystal was trying to do, but it didn't really work out as well as she hoped. Because she was planning to do 3 videos, one for the instinct types, which is me, Type 9 and 1. She couldn't get Type 8. That went fine. Then she tried one for the heart types, so she had herself a Type 2 and a Type 4. She couldn't find a Type 3.
Yeah, that actually might be better to do it like that, because with 9 people in the Hangout.
Well, then she had... Here's the thing. Then she had the head types, and that was a 3-hour one, but she lost the first half of it. So it was only an hour and a half to get put up. And
how did she lose it?
She has no idea. But
that happened to me with Dario.
The
second half went.
The first half was the Type 5s, so we're missing that. The second half was Type 6. You had a Type 6 and 2 Type 5s. Here's the thing, though. The Type 5 was listening to the Type 6 and thought, maybe I'm not a Type 5, maybe I'm a Type 6, because I relate to this a lot. But then the Type 6 is in Facebook. He's in one of the groups. He's decided he's an ESTP. So it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting video, but it's
we'll go back to this in a moment. So I've got my little A5 planner here. So so when she did like head types, were they all INFJs or like different types?
No, they were all meant to be INFJs. All the videos were different INFJ types. So there's the thing. Like the one I did with her and a Type 9 named Iris. I'm sure of our types. The one with the Type 2 and the Type 4, I do not know who those people are, so I cannot comment on one or the other. The one with the head types, one of them is an one of them turned out to be an ESTP later on, and the other one said there were 2 Type 5s. One of them went away. The other one decided was in that video was thinking maybe she was a Type 6. So it's a little. That's the tricky thing with doing these kind of videos, because I think your MBTI type is easier to find out than your area type, especially since when you're trying to merge them together.
Yeah, it depends. Although some people's area type is clear.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes not. It's easier to know one than both, I think. Like I've never ever typed as a 1 on the tests. I've always got a Type 4 or 5, but.
I think though, if people do self-discovery, sometimes they can, like, really connect with an Enneagram.
Yeah, they can. That's the thing. All the time, they're not. A lot of people, I think, who know their Enneagram type haven't really done the research or the in-depth stuff. So that's the tricky thing with doing it. So
you see,
there's 1 or 2 I know for definite. I would agree with their Enneagram types, but others, it's hard to say.
I'll just point out to people that see my face, it is not normally like this. My face is all puffed up with an infection. So
You can't tell at all.
It's not my face is collapsing. It's that I have an infection here. That is why it's all puddingy. Right. So, I would think though with a video like that, if you had just three three head types for INFJ.
You can't. I don't think you'll find a type 7.
It's also a bit. It puts a lot of pressure on the people to make the video. From someone who's watching, from their point of view, I think it's more interesting to see the actual 9 types in a hangout together, and it puts less pressure on people to contribute.
Well, there's the thing as well. You won't get the 9 INFJ types if that's what you're going for, because finding a type 7 or a type 8, if they exist, they're very hard to find, and people would be not agreeing with them. They'd be suggesting other things, but they're very hard to find even if they do exist. So,
well, we can actually leave them blank and actually say this is what they are in theory.
Yeah.
And what you could do is you could say in theory the INFJ 7 is this, and then you can say why they're so hard to find, how you think they would react, those sorts of things.
I would say an INFJ 8 is more likely to exist than an INFJ 7, personally, but there's an interesting thing.
Ooh, now I think I know someone who could possibly be an INFJ 7.
Who?
And do you know Anthony Rodriguez?
I think I know from the groups, but I don't.
He's a DJ.
And
I've done some INFJ videos with him, so you might have seen him.
I looked at it afterwards. I might have seen him before, but
he's got a lot of when you see him, it's like whoa, he's got a lot of ESTP in him.
Yeah, but there's a thing. People probably say he has an ESTP or he's some other type. If you do it,
but I've done these videos with him. The NF side really comes across. The way he just talks about NI, it's like whoa, an ESTP would not talk like that. But it is it's the real theory of you contain your jewel, that some people contain the jewel within him. He really does. There are these people that are like that. And he could be, it's possible he could be a 7 or an 8.
Well, the other thing to consider is that, it's not just type 1, type 2, type 7. There's all sorts of variations even within the types.
Yeah.
So there's about, if you're considering tri-type, you'd have 18 variations of each type.
Oh God!
Without starting with the instincts or anything like that. So.
Oh, dear me. Right. So.
Back on topic.
Behind the scenes stuff. So we will get back to it. But yeah. So these hangouts don't just happen on their own, folks. This is like the iceberg. It's like 9/10 of the action all goes on behind the scenes. And all these people have to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
The purpose of Facebook is to organise these hangouts. Right.
This was a peek behind the curtain, folks.
Yes. So, for instance, when folks disable their Facebook by tech, it makes things very complicated for contacting people. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, carefree, farsighted.
I can't see it anymore. I can't see it. I can see your.
How about now?
No, there's a picture of you. No,
not yet.
Maybe your video's off or something, but
no, I can see it on mine. Can you see it?
No, I can't.
Okay, here we go. Let's start again.
I can see you.
Right, now I'm going to go back to the. Let's see what happens.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
So, carefree and farsighted. Yeah, I would leave that and go on to the next one, I think.
Right. So, the quadric traits.
These are the last 3.
Are you reasonable or decisive?
Doesn't rush when it comes to making a decision. Takes time to think it over. Not when he or she is relaxed, finds it hard to function on the spot to the external motivation. Decisive. Not when he or she is mobilized, when the work is done, finds it hard to relax to a ritual, say we did at party or the help of others. Ugh. A party after complete. I'm not even sure those are really opposites. I mean, it doesn't rush when it comes to making a decision.
Just their quadrant traits.
Oh, wait. I misunderstood. Find it hard to function on the spot. Actually, I might be more reasonable. I would say I'm reasonable. Yeah, I think I misunderstood it at first, but looking at it, I think I'm more reasonable.
Do you want me to click on that?
Yes, please.
Right, because I think it might kill Yasinin.
Hmm.
It does, it kills Yasinin.
Oh.
And Yasinin is INFJ. Because see, the thing is, and this is why it's a little bit dodgy, they think all of the betas are mobilized.
I would dearly wish that was true. But, yeah.
Because it's like this. Oh, they all have extroverted sensing.
Oh.
You see what I mean? It's like if you think deductively from these premises, it gives deduction a bad name.
Yeah. I mean, I would actually say that all the introverted functions are deductive, so just being a weed introvert functions, well, especially a weed introverted perceiver, that would be more reasonable, I'd be more taking time to think things over, so.
Well, no, I sort of mean like the whole system in terms of getting to these traits using deduction, but deduction's fine, but deduction, it's, if you're deducing from things that are not absolutely true, then you can end up with peculiar conclusions that might be internally consistent and logical, but if you base it on a premise that isn't true, or is only true for the most part.
Well, as an INFJ, I don't know what that's like, but I imagine it would be terrible. I'm always right.
So
as an INFJ, I'm used to always being right and to all my deductions being true, but I imagine that would be terrible for someone else. Yeah, reasonable sounds quite NI actually. There's a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, and this is like
reasonable sounds really like me. So,
but that's the thing. I mean, it could be subtype, like DC8 subtype, and this is why Victor thinks that quadras are only 60% reliable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, decisive is supposed to be SE.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, yeah, but INFJ's got really weak SE.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look at ENTP, I would say ENTP is more decisive. I would say ENTP and ESFJ are more decisive than INFJ.
Yeah. So
I mean, ESFJ is one of the most. And I mean, Leon Sale says that's his type tips his channel. He uses the. I like his line. ESFJs have the energy of 3 people. But I add the bit to that. Yes, they have the energy of 3 people, but only the time of 1. Only the time of 1. And yeah.
So, yes, okay.
It would be like the #1 type to buy a sleep compression device. Once somebody invents the sleep compression device, where you can sort of like put a helmet on and it could like say compress all your sleep into about an hour, where you do like all your dreams, then that would work for the dream aspect of sleep, but I don't know what it would do for the immune system. That's another reason why we sleep, is to build up the immune system.
So, well, okay, let's move on then, since reasonable is not being reasonable. Reasonable is not being reasonable. Let's see what subjective and objective say. Considering someone else's opinion places major importance on the person's reputation, relies on his and her own subjective worldview. Considering someone else's opinion, compares it with the real facts, believes in objective laws being true, independent of subjective opinions. See, I've had philosophical thoughts about objective and subjective, and I tend to think that subjective is always objective by definition, because it's always part of the objective world. So it's a little tidbit into my mind.
Well, okay.
Not,
so if you go on about that, because I'm interested in that, if you expand upon that point.
Yeah, well, really, the subjective view is always part of the world, isn't it? It's not really. They seem like they're at odds, but really, the objective is here and the subjective is here. But it's like if I saw a cat on that couch over there, which you cannot see. If I saw a cat, I don't have a cat. But if I saw a cat there, it would be objectively true that I'm seeing a cat in my head. That there is an image, regardless of whether it actually is or is not a cat.
Well, you have to get the words precise. Like saying, to say, I believe I see a cat.
Well, you could say that about anything, though. I believe I see this bottle here. Is it real?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But that's fair. But it just.
It's still. Well, Kant would say I cannot see the thing in itself. So this is the thing in itself, and I can't really see it. I'm just seeing an impression of it. I believe I see a bottle, but it could be a snake, or it could be something else entirely. Philosophy. Everyone.
But it is causally consistent with being a water bottle, in that the water that you have keeps you alive, and the phenomenal realm is real enough that it can kill you and keep you alive.
Well, I don't actually know that until I'm killed by it. That could all be an illusion.
Yes, but it's a very, very consistent illusion.
Yes, but
especially when you have dreams, and there's so many plot holes in dreams when you wake up.
Depends on who's dreaming. My dreams
then you have the temporal dislocation.
Could be the
one moment you're in the kitchen, the next moment you're in a cockpit on the Concorde.
Well, the thing is, does consistency really prove anything? There's the thing, like some philosophers would say it doesn't. The consistency is just because something's consistent doesn't mean it's true. I mean, for all we know, the laws of physics are just an accident. Like in the quantum level, things might rearrange, and suddenly everything we know about gravity and electromagnetism might be totally rearranged.
Well, it's true enough that it has consequences on you.
But maybe the other part of the illusion too, the consequences.
Well, it might be, but it has consequences on you if you do certain things. And that's the thing that matters.
Perhaps not.
Pragmatically. Yeah, but you know that if you do certain things, like if you chop your head off, it'll probably be a bad thing.
I don't actually know that until I try it.
But you're less likely to try it because you'd think, well, so far,
maybe yes,
other people that have done it not worked out so well.
But they're all part of the illusion, perhaps. That's interesting. I need to try that.
So that means that you might as well go out and behave like an SP then.
Well, obviously, that's what I'm thinking of all the time. Inferior SP. So
there's an example there. They're like decisive, reasonable. If you take the premise, everyone with SE is mobilized. Well, no, it's different depending on the type that you're talking about, and also their subtype.
Even just the person.
Yeah.
Like for some SE is more about eating and drinking and partying and wasting the time. Mobilized to do nothing. Or do
That's
nothing
like with Jeff. Jeff is very good at explaining the subtle ways that an artisan can express their artisanness, their SE-ness, in little acts of rebellion and freedom, rather than the stereotypical SP behavior.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So
you right? Okay, reasonable design. What about subjective objective? And then I'll actually tell you which one this actually is, because this is renamed. This is subjective and objective. Oh yeah, you looked at this before, but I think that's Mary versus serious subjective objective.
Mary versus serious.
Which is a dichotomy which is a bit dodgy. Because ESFP is supposed to be a serious type because they have TE. Yeah, but they also have really powerful FE that works in conjunction with their SE, which is why, in order to be the ESFP performer wants to be, they have to take other people into account. They use if you talk about the way they act, if you're looking at behavior, ESFJs and ESFPs can be quite similar in a social situation. It's just that their motivations are different, their values are different.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't think these things are mutually exclusive. I think they're just. I mean, believe in objective laws being true, independent of subjective opinions. That is a subjective opinion. That objective laws are true. If there's a thing, and relies on his or her own subjective worldview, you still need to look at the objective world through that. So again, these are really blurry distinctions, and it's just in a lot of ways it doesn't add up quite as well as you think it would if you deconstruct it. So
we should say empiricist really rather than objective.
Yeah. Still kind of anyway, not satisfied with either of them.
I think
I would say I'm in the middle between those two.
I think objective is TE.
Yeah, definitely sounds more TE. Maybe that's why I'm making fun of it. It's not really as true as it thinks it is.
So it's one of these things that would fit INTJ. So I think, did you think that sounds really INTJ?
As with
objective.
It's even more ENTJ or something than.
Yeah.
Because INTJs might be a bit more on the subjective view.
So you think
versus it.
So INTP will be classified subjective. So what did you pick, subjective or objective?
No, I said I was in the middle.
Right. Okay. So all of these are classified. Yeah. So all of these are classified as subjective, and they've all got FE.
Yeah.
Dumas, Robespierre, Gorky, Reinin. They've all got FE, but it's like INTP though. That isn't, person's reputation.
Yeah.
Well, ISFJ, Alexander Dumas, will be, as an SJ, they all put importance on someone's reputation.
Was he?
Robespierre.
Was Dumas an ISFJ? I don't know enough about him, but
I don't know. I mean, but that's just basically the
strange thing to think of. He's quite. You wouldn't know from the stories, but swashbucklers. But maybe he was. So interesting thing.
Relies on his own subjective worldview. I mean, like I said, that dichotomy, merry, serious. It's the same thing. It's now aristocratic, democratic. This really should be renamed because these are loaded terms. I'll change this to like A or B.
Sees people as members of a group, hierarchy, or social network rather than as individuals. See people as individuals rather than members of a group, hierarchy, or social network. It really just depends on the situation with me. Like, it depends on what the issue is, the problem is, I'll try and do both as much as possible. I want the whole picture. So I would actually say, the first one is actually very social instinct in the Enneagram, because that's one of the telltale signs with social type, or social first or social second at least, that if they're joining a group or a forum or whatever, they can very quickly figure out what the group dynamics are and the social hierarchy. So like, even just without thinking about it, that's just the first thing they notice. So yeah, but at the same time, I want to see them as individuals. I don't want to get caught up in that. I do both. Yeah. It's not complete unless you have both and consider things properly.
Right, so let's go back to the beginning and we'll go over the ones that you were mostly sure of. So, logical and ethical.
What were those ones? I can't remember which ones I was sure of or not. So,
well, you've got logical and ethical, intuitive sense. I
was more concerned. I was more in the ethical, wasn't I? So, yeah, I was more in the ethical. Click on ethical.
Right. Right, so that leaves ISFJ and INFJ.
All right. I don't know who Sergei Yesenin is.
You won't like this. He's an INFJ poet who killed himself.
Well, that's depressing. Oh, now I feel sad. Oh, now I want to come up. Focus. Mercedes and non-materials arise concepts like, say, intuitive. Click intuitive.
Well, and then that will leave you with
Sergei Yesenin.
INFJ. So,
suicide is comedy.
So we got here. We got introvert, ethical, intuitive, and then emotive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose if you were going to do an INFJ, those are the traits you'd go for.
And so, INFP should be constructive.
Dostoevsky.
So do you think that's true, though, of INFPs?
The second part, yes. The first part, no, because I think they actually see the emotional implication first, and then trying to figure out the meaning from how they feel about it. Like a lot of the time, I'll see FI types misunderstand what I think the other person meant.
Yeah, and usually they don't adjust.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's not typical for him to adjust to the other person's mood. I agree with that. The second part's right, the first part is not.
Right. And then for the other one with the motivist,
it's the other way around.
Yeah, they do adjust because of the FE.
Yeah, I agree with the second part, but not the first part. I see the meaning. Unless you're talking about some other things, but yeah.
So yeah, this test I think shows you that the traits are a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's just definitions and poor descriptions, but it's hard to say.
So then, with the summing up of this video, so what do you think of the Reinin traits in terms of how useful they are to you?
They're interesting, but they're not the most useful thing. There's other tests and other ones I would trust more. Like, I would not. If I was starting off with this, if I was first getting into typology and starting off with this, I would probably be quite lost. There would be other tests that would send me better.
Other Reinin tests or tests using different criteria?
Well, really other tests. I never knew there were other Reinin tests. But
So So you think that that the Reinin dichotomies in themselves are slightly flawed?
They are slightly flawed, but I don't know how much of that is the dichotomies, the traits themselves, or just the descriptions. It's
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the mathematics can't write the traits. It can only say that if you have these, you have this. It doesn't tell you how to write it very precisely. Plus dichotomies.
Yeah, dichotomies.
Just the whole thought of dichotomy in itself is not. When you do the actual scores of people, like for instance introversion, extroversion, you don't get. You get like a bell-shaped curve, and the one where it's most. Say if you've got like is the one for sensing, intuiting is like that. Where it's like you got two mountains.
Yeah.
And all the other ones tend to be like a bell-shaped curve. But you still get a distribution.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if it really was one thing, so you get a lot of people. So whenever you're using a scale, you get. So the scales. I mean, the scale is what it is. I mean, if somebody is. I mean, people know. People can recognize extreme extroverts, extreme introverts. They know there's different kinds. Then they know there's some people. You know, you've seen some NFs who are like a stereotype of an NF. And those people are a bit of a mix. You've seen like stereotypical, like David Kersey Jr. So INTP. And he is the archetype. He was the person that the Kersey INTP profile is based on. Some people are just, and then there's other people, bit of a mix. And as you know, right, that when people show me their Enneagram test results, there's quite a few people that, you know, they've got quite a few motivations going on. They've got like 4 or 5, like very similar scores.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, when you break down the Enneagram types, there are a lot of, out of the tri-type and the instincts and all that, there can be a lot of overlap, especially when you factor in the functions. So that can get very confusing just in itself. Just the results won't tell you anything.
Right, so what we will do now, folks, is we're going to end this, and then we're going to talk off air, maybe do another video. But now I'm going to leave you with a Megyn Kelly expression. I've got to go. This is over between us. I love you. Don't ever change, but goodbye.